Oh my God. So for some reason, I installed Streamlabs. Hey everybody. Let me just I got a little rattled. So I hope everybody makes it over here. I had installed Streamlabs on my computer, and I guess it keeps wanting me to use Streamlabs, but I'm not ready to use Streamlabs. So I hope everybody makes it over, sees the new link. If you still have the other chat over, if you could just please let everybody, if somebody could go over and just tell everybody to check out to refresh and check out the new live, I would really appreciate it. Don't you just love technology? When I first opened it up and I saw that it was funky, no reference to Jay, I knew that it's going to be a problem. Here, let me refresh my iPad here while I'm waiting everybody to make it over. Up, shut your mouth. Whew. Hope everybody makes it over. So, I'm going to give it a couple of more minutes. How's everybody doing? I'm frazzled, as you can see. Yes, it's crazy. It's crazy. So let me say hello to everybody. Hey, Nessa, thanks for coming. No Salt BP, Big D Smoke. I see Gold, Pond and More, Punchy. Hello. Hey, Rob 93. So, where's Candy? She was over in the other thing. I hope she makes it over. Family that's coming to town. That's fun. Always nice to have visitors. Yeah. So I'll let everybody get settled in before I get started. And tell you all about my experience with tornadoes. My poor town, my poor city. It's been it's still in bad condition. My glasses are dirty. That's better. And I think we're at 98% as far as power is concerned. So people are getting their power back. So let me see here. Let me do something real quick. Darn it. Darn thing. I'll exit out of that. Okay. So I still don't see Candy. Hope she makes it over here. Hope everybody makes it over from the other stream. This really snafu. But hey, there she is. Excellent, excellent. I've got my notes, of course, so I can stay on topic. So let's talk about how my fish room survived a major catastrophic tornadoes and storms. So Monday night, about 10 o'clock, we had um, tornado warnings going off. The husband had fell asleep in his big easy chair. I woke him up. Um, I called my daughter, make sure they were in the basement. My sister called me. My sister was calling everybody on her phone list, and good thing she did because one of her friends really wasn't paying attention. Not everybody has um, apps and things on their phone that alert them um, of tornadoes. So I would recommend, if you don't have any other apps, that you definitely do a weather app. That way, no matter where you are, if you're not listening to the media or whatever, that you will at least get those warnings because they really help. So, of course, after that, we tuned into our local station. They said the name of a street. When they said the name of the street, the girl, I think the weather forecaster was new, and so she was saying, um, she just kept saying the name of this area, this name, and the name is actually, well, the way she was saying it, I was thinking she was talking about an area, and I'm like, where is that at? And so, um, hey, Friday Fish Facts, thanks so much for coming. Um, yeah, so when she said that, I kept going, well, that sounds familiar, but that's a street. And so next thing we know, the power went out and it was pandemonium after that. We had hail, the wind was blowing, and then about 10 minutes later, we started hearing transformers exploding. And that was probably one of the most nerve-wracking thing because you got the high winds, got the transformers going, you've got hail hitting, which I was told a while back that hail can be the sign of a tornado. And so it was really scary. And so we kind of filed into our safe space. We are on a slab, so we didn't have a basement, and just kind of waited it out. And it went on for about a good half hour. I mean, you could hear tree limbs falling. I mean, there was just so much noise, um, just tons of noise and very scary for a good half hour. And so here we were, and we didn't go outside, and that's a warning. So one of the things I heard was that you should not go outside directly after a storm. I know people want to assess um, their property, but also one of the biggest injuries that occur after a storm is foot injuries. And the reason that is especially if it happens at night, people are barefooted and they're used to. I walked out in my yard barefooted all the time. I love to be barefooted. That's the first thing comes off me when I get home is my shoes. And so when people go out, there's nails, there's splinters, um, there's glass, there's all sorts of debris out there, and you can very easily injure your feet. So keep that in mind. So we kind of just sat and just once it was all over and the noise stopped, just kind of talked, and we were up until I think I might have dozed off for like an hour at 4 a.m. and woke up again at 5 o'clock. And by then the sun was starting to come out, and we went outside and assessed the damage. We have very little damage to our property, but right down the street, within a mile of here, it was devastation. So I feel very blessed that I was able to, yep, no shoes. I'm a country girl by it, in that regard. I take off my shoes. I have to remind myself to put on shoes. And so, yes, so that's the major thing to consider. So I live in an area that's between two small suburbs, Dayton and the city of Dayton. And the one, which is Troutwood, Ohio, was devastated. Beaver Creek, Ohio. And so my area is at the 70-75 crossroads. And so we have, what from last I heard, there were over 1,000 structures damaged, businesses and homes damaged. In this area, there was, I think, 75 homes destroyed or with heavy damage. Um, the university where I work, power was out, and so we had Tuesday off, but I wasn't planning on going to work anyway because I had already made up my mind I wasn't going to work. So, but they closed the university down because the university was out without power. Um, so my daughter, who lives in a subdivision that has fairly new wiring, she actually had power but no water, and our water was down to a trickle on Tuesday. So all this happened on Memorial Day evening, and so we were. Let's see. Yes, please hit the like button. Thank you, No Salt. Thank you. And if you have any questions, please add me so I can make sure I see them and can answer your questions. So let's get down to the nitty gritty. So we were hit by 5 tornadoes in my general area and a total of 13 in our county. The highest one was the EF4. There's still a lot of businesses that, of course, are still closed. A lot of people still out of work. Um, like I said, 98% of the city does have power back, and most of us have water back. FEMA is here, and some other organizations that deal with, of course, Red Cross and people like that are here. Still seeing tons of electrical companies that are visiting. We actually took water to a company that was not far from here, and snacks. They were from Tennessee. And so the response has been amazing. We've got a lot of people coming together, working with neighbors. We've got tons of organizations I see on Facebook every day offering food and things like that. So, how did I survive the outage? So, the caveat I wanted to add is that most of my tanks are cold water tanks. I do have two tropical tanks. That is the angelfish and the puffer tanks, which are kept at 80 degrees. And when this occurred, temperatures outside during that week were 80, between 75 and 80. So that plays a role in it. So anybody that's considering using these devices, this was during the warm spell. It might be a greater challenge, but it's something you could think about. Now, the first thing that people would say is to get a generator, which that's something I recommend. But after I thought about it, because we've been talking about getting a generator for a while, but after I thought about it, what if you live in an apartment or somewhere where you can't put a generator? Um, that presents another challenge. So that's something to think about. Um, but if you can, these are just some possible options for you. to help keep your tanks going, to keep them oxygenated and keep the water flowing so it doesn't become stagnant. So the fish have oxygen. Um, and so another thing I did do as a precaution, because there was no actual filtration, I did not feed my fish during this time. So that's something else to consider because I figured if I fed them, I know they're going to be having some waste, but if I fed them, that would bring more ammonia into the tank and that would cause a bigger problem. I did think about doing water changes, but because we had a boil advisory, I was concerned about that. And at some point during the first part of the week, we didn't even have enough pressure. I couldn't have done a water change if I wanted to without, well, I still could have done a water change because we didn't have enough water pressure. Thank you. Hey, what I learned to keep fish. Welcome. Hey, Bob. Welcome. Hey, Rounded Rob. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. See, make sure I haven't missed anybody. Yeah, I think I've said hi. So let me show you what I used. So the first device that I used was this. This is called a Hush Bubblers, and this one was let's see here. Let me get a good look at it. This one was fairly quiet. I'm waiting for the camera to catch up. This one was fairly quiet. There we go. Wait a minute. Hope I'm not making anybody dizzy. And this is the Airstone that it uses. This device has a clip on the back, so you can clip it. I actually clipped it on my lights, so that was good. This particular unit uses a, come on, let's see if I can get it off here. Should have did this before. This, it only has one in here, but this one uses a D battery. And I got these at Walmart like last year, and they run about $8. It uses 2D batteries. That's one of them. And then there's this one, which is called the Bubble Box. And this is the Airstone it comes with, so you get lots of really good bubbles on this one. I use 2 of these on my 55-gallon. This one also takes D batteries. Hey Dan, how you doing? So I'm gonna get to that. So these particular ones, which Susan told me later, Susan of SLC Aquatics told me she has used this, that she has used this size. And these ran the whole time. So they will run up to a week on 2D batteries. So that's those two. The next size I also use, and these are ones I already had purchased before we had a bunch of threatening weather that was coming. And these are called baby bubblers. And what these are is you'll find these in the fishing section at Walmart. And this one runs about $4. This one takes so this is good for your smaller tanks, but there's a caveat to that. This takes 2 AA batteries. But these run only about 6 hours. So that's something to consider. So what I was doing was, because I only had these and I couldn't find them anymore, Walmart was out of them, I was going and changing them out like in the morning before I go to work, in the afternoon when I got home from work, and then I would do that. So they run about 6 hours. So there would be like a couple hours at the fish, but I knew that because they were running, the water was still oxygenated, it wouldn't get too stagnant. So I was able to do that. The next item that I use was at Aquarium Co-op. They may be sold out again. I just bought two myself. This is the USB. This is a USB powered bubbler. And this is like the ones they have, and I recommend Aquarium Co-op because they're much cheaper there. So if you can get them, I know that they just came back in stock. If you can get them, they have them a lot cheaper. I got these on Amazon because I had next day delivery. So I got these on Thursday, and these were powering my couple of my tanks, because you see I have a splitter here, as you can see. So these were public. Now let's talk about how we powered the USB ones. So first was what I call my brick, and this is a unit that I bought off of Amazon. Right now they're like $32, but I want to say I might have paid less for it. This has 20,000 mAh, which is milliamps, and 20,000 milliamps will run for 100. Let's see, let me look at my notes. 100 milliamps for 30 hours. So this particular one with that's for 3,000, which I'll show you that in a minute. But this particular one will run 100 milliamps, I'm sorry, for 200 hours, which comes up to 8 days. And I like this one because it has a digital readout. Oh God, I can't get used to this camera. Ah, there we go. So you can see what the battery life is. They do take a while to charge. So once this one has been charging, I need to probably get a lightning. Hey, Donald's Fish Vibes, thanks for coming. Let me see. Corey's video on this USB. Yes, very nice. Really, I must have missed it. We'll have to check it out. Yeah, definitely check out Corey's video on the USB powered one. So this particular one will run your fish room for 8 days, or your fish tanks. It has, like I said, the one I showed you, the USB, how to use a splitter. Or if many of you may have this particular one, and like I said, that was $32. This particular one, this is a smaller unit. You can see how thick it is. And what I like about this one is it has the 2 outlets. So you can put 2 bubblers on this one. I got this one for $5.99 at a discount store. But there's another place that I'm gonna check out too that somebody told me about. And so this has 4,000 mAh, which is 40 hours. And this will run for 1.6 days, which is about 1 day and 4 hours. So there's that one. And then this one is a little bit, is that the thicker one? Or are these about the same? Actually, these are about the same, but one has 2 outlets. And this one is 3,600, and this one is 4,000. So that's what I used to run my fish room once I got the next day Amazon Prime. Oh, these are Marks. These are the power banks that I use to power the USB bubblers, and I was saying that Corey's got these at Aquarium Co-op. I bought these on Amazon and they were much more expensive. And as you can see, it has a suction cup here so you can attach it. And then it also has a ring. I don't know what I would do with that, but I guess you can hang it on something in your tank. And then there's a USB connection. And then here's the air stone that comes with it. And I think Corey has special air stones too, so you might want to check those out. So yes, so for 6 days, batteries, the bigger ones, once I put those two D batteries in the larger ones, these ran for a week. So if you can, these were at Walmart. But like I said, they were out of them. I bought these probably last year when we had bad weather. So let's see if I missed any question. Oh my God, seriously? Oh no. Let's see. USB power supplies for computers can also work well. Yes, yes. And we used to have one, and I don't know what my husband did with it. We had a great big unit that he used for backup. Let's see. Let me look here because it's still hard for me to see that if I have any questions. Oh, our air just came on. I still have a form of PTSD. We had we have our Monday because of where we live. We had our Monday. Our first Monday of the month tornado warning test Monday, this Monday, and about jumped out of my skin. It scared me so bad. So I'm still a little whatever. Hey, Aquafunk, what's up? What's up? I'm trying to see if I have any questions. Yeah, so thank you, Bob. Thank you. Yeah, so definitely go to Aquarium Co-op if there's still some left. Corey said they sell out really fast, and now I know why. Like I said, I've ordered two more, and I do have 9 tanks. Fortunate for me, like I said earlier, I have mostly cold water tanks. The puffers did start acting a little weird. The angels, of course, they slowed down, but they all survived because my next plan of action was to take get a couple of 10 gallons, which may not have been the best solution, especially for the angel tanks, maybe 3 10 gallons. And so, in full disclosure, I have two homes. I have this home where I am, which is our property that we live in. And then I have another home, which is my rental property that my sons live in. And the tanks were at the rental property. So we got power back Friday. If it didn't come back on, it came on Sunday night. I had decided on Monday I was just going to take off work and bring the angels and the pufferfish over here because we had power back, but the power came back on. They didn't get, excuse me, they didn't get too crazy. Everybody's fine now. No fish losses, so that's a blessing because that would have been really sad. But when you're in a pinch, if you live in an apartment and the weather is halfway decent, these are some options like I said, if you have the option to get a generator, I would definitely recommend it. We couldn't even get a generator later. You couldn't rent one. You couldn't buy one. They were wiped out. All the big box stores, there were no generators to be found. Of course, that's to be expected. But if you're in a pinch, if you are in a situation just as a backup, I think these are great tools to have or devices to have to kind of help support that. So, does anybody have any questions about any of the items that I showed today? Hey, George, how are you? No, we're good, George. The shrimp are good. Everybody's good. Thanks for asking. Yes, they did fine. They're good. Luckily, they're cold water creatures. So when they had bubblers to keep the tank oxygenated, and they're fine. Bubblers at run on the D batteries. The ones that run on the D batteries at my local Walmart were like, I feel like they were like $7. When I tried to look them up online as I was preparing for this, um, I I saw new ones, so maybe they're phasing these out, but they do have new ones. Okay, let's get the likes up. Thank you. How about the plants? Any do works? Let me see. Worse than the other. Yeah, the plants did kind of take a hit, of course, because they didn't have any light for like 6 days. So I do see, especially my pink flamingos, they do look a little wilted. Let's see who else had a question. Let me scroll back up. Let's see. Let me see. Plants, yeah, answered that one. Yeah, the pink flamingos seem to have taken a little bit of a hit, but not too bad. I need to clean those up a little bit. They've been struggling. I might need to add some more. It may be time for me to also add some root tabs, and I use the forest tabs for those. Yeah, it is super quiet. You can't even tell it's on. I think he just did a sound test on those, so you couldn't even tell it's on. These are a little noisy, but you know, if you're saving your fish, a little noise is not going to hurt. Oh, great, learning to keep fish. I definitely recommend it. Like I said, I mean, ideally we could all get generators, but that may not be an option. Generators are not cheap. The only caveat, like I said, is if the weather is cold outside, that might present a bit of a challenge. But because we had decent weather, the weather was warm, the house didn't get that cold, I was able to use this option. Okay, yeah. So these are used for, I guess, bait because they're in the. Oh, you can find these are in fishing section. So they're most likely used for bait to keep live bait alive. So when you go to look for them, that's where you can find them in the fishing section. Yeah, I did see those. I did see those, but I didn't get the buckets. I guess I could have if I really wanted to, because I was in Walmart on Tuesday looking for more. And then I was like, well, I'm just gonna, because I saw Corey was sold out, and then Amazon did have them, but they were much more expensive than what Corey has, and Corey has good price on them. Okay, yeah, I'm talking about other stuff. Nessa, what do you want to know about inverter? Is that invertebrates? Let me see. Inverters. Yep, so everybody's doing really well. And so we've been talking about cool stuff, bad news. I have some good news. I have Hillstream babies. So that is super exciting. So far, I've only seen two, but eventually, hopefully, they'll be coming out. Any buried tiger shrimp yet? No, not yet. No, not yet. No buried tiger shrimp. Hopefully soon. Yeah, so we do have Hillstream babies. I'm really excited. I'm waiting to hear back from John with ALA about getting rehoming the Mikas. So that'll be happening soon. And then I'm super duper duper excited because many years ago my parents had a gorgeous pond and I used to keep koi in their pond, take care of the koi and goldfish. And there is a huge goldfish and koi show this weekend. So I am super duper duper excited. It's going to be at the Greene County Expo Center. So I'm looking forward to going to that. Um, that's about as close to a fish show as I'm going to get right now. I really want to go to Aquashella this year, but when they move the date, it conflicts with my niece's wedding, so there's a likelihood I may not be going. It's actually the weekend before, but that's just too much to be going on. Hey, BBs. Yeah, I'm really excited whenever I see those hill streams. So, Eric Bogrock told me that, and I've mentioned this before, that the Mikas may be predating on my Hillstream babies. And so I took them out over a month ago and we have babies. So he was very right and he's super smart guy. So I'm so glad I actually hooked up with Eric Boderock because he is selling the Loach books that I showed you in a couple of live streams back. And when I was talking to him, I told him, he asked me what type of loaches I had, and I told him I had hill streams. And I said that they were breeding, but I hadn't had any fry in a long time. And then he asked me what I was keeping in the tanks. And when I told him that I was keeping Mikas, he said they're probably, the adults and the juveniles are probably predating on the hill streams. So his theory was exactly right. And now we have some hill stream babies. Now I'm thinking that we only may have two. I don't know what the gestation period is for them, for the eggs. And according to everything I've read, not a whole lot of people are sure as well. But I did disturb that tank a great deal. So if I only have two, that if because I haven't seen any more, which I may, because they're so tiny, and they do hide fairly well. However, it may be because I disturbed that tank and because I did a major gravel vac, and so unfortunately I may have messed up. Yeah. So, but we do have two confirmed babies, so I'm really excited about that because you all know I love my hill streams. So, with everything said, my fish room has been put on hold once again. Yes, I have Instagram. It is Madfish Diva at Madfish Diva. Mark. Um, so everything has been on hold again because I am just trying to wrap my mind around everything. What's Bob talking about, a road trip? Where's Bob going? Where you going, Bob? Yeah, so definitely I'm excited about that. And so the new fish room will have a variety of loaches. So I have been doing some researches on some possible sources for those loaches. Right now, I'm trying to figure out if I'm gonna get 20 longs or 40 breeders for them. But because, and then I found the rack that I want to purchase is at Lowe's. Probably have it. For some reason, our Home Depot is cheaper than Lowe's. I don't know why, but it's like $188, and I can put because I thought about doing the cinder blocks, which I'm still contemplating, but I think that I can put six, which I don't know if how high up I want them to go, but I could put at least 440 breeders. Hey Carson, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Hey Miss Sharon, glad you could make it. Good to see you. Hey Big Easy, what's up? What's up? Yeah, so I'm really excited. Yeah, but I had a little setback, things happen. So, you know, I'll get it done. I'll get it done. So any more questions about the bubblers or the power supply or anything um that I've talked about today? Let's see. Yeah. You to the fish show. Yeah, come on up, Bob. You're not that far from me. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to see them. Thank you, Nessa. You always thank you for the compliments. I really appreciate it. Yep, yep. It's okay, Sharon. I'm glad you were able to make it. I'm glad you were able to make it. Yeah, so anyway, so if you have any questions about the different bubblers or aerators, however you want to call it. Um, oh, really? West Coast here in a few weeks. That's exciting too, Dan. Um, you can always hit me up on Instagram, and you can always email me. My email is the same as my name, and my IG is the same as my name as well. But yeah, I survived the storm of 19. Yeah, it was really heralding. Um, it was just really, and fortunately and unfortunately, we only had one fatality. Um, However, it looks really bad. It looks like a bomb went off. I mean, it's so. In full disclosure, I was alive in 1974. I was very very young. Where a supercell hit Xenia, Ohio. If you look that up, that's not that far from me. And I remember our father taking us on a Sunday drive and went, because people want to see. And I remember we were sitting up like on a hill and looking down on the devastation, but here, how bad that was, and how my parents were really upset. But here, like being so close to it and seeing it close up is just surreal. It really is. I mean, I was out the day after and just seeing people standing in their yards looking at their homes. So please continue to keep us in prayer. And I'd like to also talk about one of our Fish Fem members, 54 Punchy, is going full time with her art. So please support her. I'm not sure if her GoFundMe's up, but I'm sure she could still use some funds as she goes into this new endeavor. And I'm really excited for her. I will definitely get some artwork, and I should have bought one of her cards, but you can go um, and see um, some of her work if you're friends with her on Facebook. Let's see. Hello, hello, Angie. How are you, House of Buckets? Thanks so much for coming. I'm glad you made it. Thanks for coming. Yeah, so that's exciting. We're excited to see that. And then I got 6 peppercorns from her that are doing well. I think it's the biggest blessing that I could think of, other than having this stuff in my disposal, is that I have cold water tanks because, like I said, the angelfish and the puffers, they were a little dicey for a little while, but because I had those cold water tanks, that was really, um, I mean, I think that I would have been a lot more stressed out if I had all tropical tanks. But because and so the tanks, the puffer tank and the angel tank got down to like 74 degrees. And I think that that's because they're in a room with a big window, and the heat from the window was keeping the room warmer. But the Hill Stream tank, the 36-gallon, the shrimp tank, the guppy tank, mixed guppy tank, and the other golden white cloud tanks, they got down to like 67 because they were in a room that didn't have the heat coming off the windows because there was no air. One thing I learned was my house was fairly decent because the temperature stayed fairly good between 74 and 67, 68, which is not too bad, 6 degrees. So I think it was good to know that my house didn't heat up. That would have concerned me with cold water tanks, even though I know some of those fish can get hotter. But my house did stay at a very good temperature overall, considering it got really hot a couple of days. So that I know my house is well insulated, which I kind of knew that because I had some work done years ago and it's still intact. No heaters all the way. Yep, yep. Nessa. Yeah, it that was my saving grace. I said, like I said, with the exception of the Angels tanks, that got down to like 74, and the puffer tank that got down to like 74, 76, somewhere in there. Um, Having those cold water tanks, it I wasn't totally not stressed about it, but it was less stressed than if I would have had all tropical tanks, and I would have been really super duper concerned. And then having to try to possibly transport all those tanks to this house would have been, I don't have room for it. We downsized from about 2,200 square feet to a little over 1,000 square feet. Um, and I'm glad because I don't have to clean. There was a lot of house to try to clean. And so it doesn't have a lot of space for tanks. I guess I could have made it work because, I'm a can do person, but, it could have been quite we all know about moving tanks. We can ask Rob about that for sure. So yeah, but I was prepared if it would have been extended to possibly do some other things, especially with the angels and the puffers, because I did see them start to look a little distressed. Yeah, yep, the less the better. Yep, definitely check out Pam's art. She has some beautiful, beautiful artwork, and she's going to be doing this full time. So I'm asking the Fish Fam to really kind of rally and support her. I've been talking to her about possibly doing some cards and things like that in ways that she can make some revenue, but we really want to support her. and make sure she can live her dream. I wish I had a talent like that. Let's see. Hey, Aziz. Yes, House of Buckets. So glad to see you. God is good. Yes, He is. Let's see. Do we have any more questions? Let's see. Okay, Rounded Rob. Sorry I missed your comment. Thanks so much for coming. If you see this on the replay, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate the support and love. I've gotten messages on IG, on those of you who are friends with me on Facebook, emails. I mean, tons and tons of people checking on me, and that means the world to me. I truly, truly appreciate it. This has been quite the situation. As that you continue to keep our area in prayer. Um, yeah, and there's nothing like it. I just the one story that really stuck out to me, and it's kind of trivial, but it made me think. Well, first of all, let me say this: there is. I don't know if you guys remember General Ari, who took over New Orleans after Katrina. He came and spoke at our university and talked about preparedness. So I wish I had his book with me. I have his book, but I don't have it with me. But I'm just going to give you guys some quick tips. Make sure that your medicines, things like that, you have them, like take pictures of them, or make sure you write down prescriptions, because oftentimes when the electricity goes out, the so do the computer lines and everything. So your pharmacy doesn't have your records, but if you have your photos of your prescriptions, they can still fill your prescriptions. Number one. Number two, make sure you have cash with you at all times, because the day after the event, no credit card machines were working because all the telecom was down, the landlines were down. So have cash available. Definitely, we all know to have candles, flashlights. Check your flashlights, because one of ours, the battery was burned out. So make sure you check your flashlights. And of course, it's always good to have water on hand. I drink a lot of bottled water, but we were about out and going to go to the store. And now we have 5 cases of water. But definitely make sure you have cash and have any prescriptions. Um, yeah, there's just certain things that you should have. And until I went to his session, I never thought about the cash thing. Like, because to you can't get access to ATM, and the ATMs were down. Of course, the credit card machines were not working. So make sure you have a certain amount of cash on hands, and definitely those prescriptions, especially if you're on some type of maintenance drugs or something like that. And make sure you have plenty of batteries, um, and water. And so, yeah, it's funny because I know Pam would appreciate this, because she and I talked about it. I had to drive like a half hour just to get coffee, and I'm a big coffee person. And so I was having a really hard time finding coffee because of the boil advisory. So luckily for me, I did find a place and was able to get my coffee, but I couldn't even seems like I couldn't even get my day started without having oh yeah, having gas. Yeah, because the yeah, because the gas station, some of the pumps weren't working, because I try not to let mine get below a half tank of gas, but every now and then I'll get lazy and won't stop. I like those tips. Thanks for information. Continue to send prayers. Thank you so much, House of Buckets. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's a lot of people. So, um, I have 4 friends who lost their homes completely, and so that has been very tragic and sad. Uh, and so that's been very difficult. I've been trying to support them best I can, but as you can believe, like I said, I have a form of PTSD, but I can't even imagine being in a house, that was totally demolished. I have one friend that has a pet, and she's talking about she can't continue to stay in a hotel with her pet. It's just been a struggle, so we're trying to help her with that. But the story I was going to tell was when something like this occurs, you never think about it, even though we all have, our photos on our phones because we're taking pictures and selfies and things like that, especially some of us OGs, hashtag OG Squad Bob. We have a lot of photo albums and people, when the when a tornado came in, it blew people's mementos all over the place, or they may have lost, um, you know, um, mementos. There was one lady that even had an urn with her husband's ashes in it that she lost. I mean, things like that those type of stories, can really kind of get to you. Wedding photos, baby showers, special events, family reunions. Hello, Crystal's Pets. Thanks for coming. Bye, Miss Sharon. Thanks so much for coming. Yeah, so those were the things that I didn't really think about, but it is my plan one of these days, and probably sooner than later, because I have a scanner, is I have all of my dad's photo albums with all of our family stuff going back to the 60s and digitizing all that and putting it in some type of storage in the cloud or whatever you want to call it. So that's something else to think about, to digitize your photos, if only just to take a picture of them. Because oftentimes a lot of those photos um, are super important to us. So we want to make sure we have some type of way of capturing that information. Yep. So I guess that's it, unless someone else has any more questions about the bubblers. Hey, BTW Aquatics, how are you? But you can all, like I said, if you have any questions, if you think of something later, as far as how I was able to do this, I was very blessed that I had the tools and the device. Excuse me, even though I would have preferred to be able to get the USB bubblers from Corey. He was sold out. So I did get them on Amazon, but they were much more expensive. However, the bonus, well, the advantage to that was Amazon had 1 day shipping, so I was able to get them in here the next day, and luckily the mail wasn't disrupted too much in my area. So that's something else to think about. Bills, checks. I mean, if you get any kind of paper check, which a lot of people don't anymore, everything is auto deposited. But your bills, having online accounts, and having access to that. Um, you're welcome, Candy. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you. Yeah, so those are some things to kind of think about, just overall storm preparedness. And like I said, the book, I can't remember what it's called, but I do have it here somewhere. but it's by General Unray, and I think it's spelled like honor with the E. But he was a guy that came in and helped with during Katrina, and he has a book out on being prepared. And I actually went to his session at our university, and that's one thing that I was fortunate enough to have is have cash and gas in my car, even though I ended up having to get more gas because my daughter lives like 10 minutes away. And because she was like between where I am and the affected area, it took me an hour to get to her house. But she still had power. So, of course, I wanted to get over there and get my devices charged, get my power banks charged and everything. And make sure you keep these charged because, if you can't get somewhere and get them charged. And one thing that did happen that was also pretty cool was Duracell has a mobile unit that comes in and they hand out batteries and offer charging stations as well. They were here. Tide was here with and is still here with their mobile washing machines and dryers, so you can dry your clothes. Um, there's another group of, I want to say, veterans, barbecue relief for recovery, I think it's called. They were here serving like from 10 o'clock in the morning to like midnight, serving food. Had big grills out with big spotlights, um, and everything. Okay, House of Buckets, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, and so they really, really, they're just the outpouring of support from all over the world and all over the country has been amazing. And what it does is, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I get a little discouraged because it just seems like people are just, I don't know, divided. But unfortunately, it takes something like this for people to really come together. And I've seen acts of kindness on many levels so when I went to get my coffee, I had cash on me, but I didn't have a lot of cash. And so, well, I did have more cash, but the guy couldn't break a big bill. That was another thing. Or he wouldn't break it. I don't know, whatever. And so there was a young man in front of me who was getting coffee, and he just looked like he was really distraught. I don't know whether he was from the affected area, but he just was trying to get like a cup of coffee. And so the person at the gas station, because that's where we got it from, he was like, "Well, I can't use your credit card because our credit card machine is down." And so I was like, "It's only like a $2 cup of coffee." So I paid for his cup of coffee. Well, then when I got there to pay for my coffee and a couple other things I was getting, he told me he couldn't take, and all I had was like a $10 bill. And he gave me like $8 back in change. And then I had a big bill. And he was like, "Well, I can't, I can't take that, whatever." So then I was standing there like, "Oh my God, I can't get my coffee and whatever, whatever." And then a guy gave me $5 and said, "God bless you," which was really sweet, very touching. Hello, Lasadi Reed. Thanks for coming. Very touching. And so it's these little small things like that. People just helping each other, strangers helping strangers, family helping family. I know there's a lot of displaced people. There's a lot of people with no jobs. Think about that. There were lots of industries that were totally like little manufacturing plants and things like that were totally wiped out. And so those people have no job. Now I'm sure they could probably get unemployment. But how long does that take? But there's a lot of different things. There's another, so people who want to have work done on their house, they were saying that they needed to get electrical permits and permits. So the county government and some of, I guess, this county, mostly county, they were coming out and actually printing off, getting access to people's deeds, getting access to people's permits, and all sorts of things to be able to support them. So there's a lot of a concerted effort, and there's a lot of things you really don't think about when you're in this situation. Like I said, having access to the deed to your house. So yeah, so that is my story of how I survived 6 days power outage. I'm sure I hope there's some takeaways for you. And I hope that this live stream was helpful to everyone. Like I said, thank you so much because I've got a lot of love, a lot of prayers, a lot of messages of support. And I'm going to wrap it up and go try to get me a bite to eat. But thank you so much for coming. God bless you all. Take care. And like I always say, keep it splashy, not trashy. Diva out. Bye bye.